Hey, thanks for watching my video. I do appreciate it. Please subscribe. So today we're going to change the clutch fluid on a Ducati Monster 1100. Um, it's pretty much the same for any bike that has a clutch. So notice the clutch fluid, the color of the clutch fluid. When you're buying a motorcycle, all I can stress is if you can knock the price down on the motorcycle, if it's that color right there, you know the bike has not been well maintained. So anyone selling a motorcycle with clutch fluid and brake fluid, any .4, .3, same with the car, that's that color, the car has not been well maintained, the motorcycle's not been well maintained. So what we're doing is we're going to pull all this brown coffee looking .4 out of the system, and we're going to replace it with some new. Not only that, new .4 looks so much better. So here's our slave cylinder on the side, and it's going to take an 8mm wrench. And what you saw me do was take the 8mm wrench and put it on the bleeder valve and crack the bleeder valve. Just makes it easier to open later on before you get your Mighty Vac attached to it. If you don't have a Mighty Vac vacuum pump, that's this vacuum pump that I have in my hand right here, you definitely need to go get one. I get asked a lot of times where I got mine from. They are at Harbor Freight, so go look for the Harbor Freight vacuum pump, and somewhere about 6 feet up in the air, high above the Harbor Freight vacuum pump, is going to be a good vacuum pump. You don't want the Harbor Freight vacuum pump. Make sure the package you buy says Mighty Vac. You can also get it on eBay, Amazon, anywhere that a Mighty Vac vacuum pump is sold. Just make sure it has the Mighty Vac name on it. They are the best. So you can use any .4 brake fluid in your system. I am going to use this .4. This is Bell Ray. .4 is .4. There's not that much difference. Go ahead and top off your reservoir for your clutch, and because it is the clutch, I am going to pull the reservoir through twice. It's not that much .4, but I want to make sure that I get as much clean fluid in the system as possible. This bike is 11 years old, and to me it's kind of amazing that somebody went 11 years without changing the .4 in their vehicle, especially a Ducati. The clutch line runs right up next to the engine. That clutch fluid gets really hot, and it turns dark quick. It doesn't turn dark in like 10 years. The clutch fluid on a Ducati turns dark after like 6 months. So this is a maintenance interval that you need to think about doing at least once a year. So I just refilled the reservoir, and I'm going to pull some more .4 through the system. And Ducatis are really easy to do. You know, you just empty out the system. Typically you don't even have to empty out the system. If the .4 in your reservoir is still a light color, just pull that out of the reservoir, refill the reservoir, and then pull new fluid through the system, and you'll flush out most of what's in the system without introducing any air. What I did today is I flushed the system completely dry. So I pulled all the fluid out of the system and I sucked air through the system. So with that, you have to go ahead and bleed your master. That's where I'm at right now, and this is going to be an 11mm wrench. But if you're just pulling fluid through the system, you emptied the reservoir and you're going to pull new fluid through the system, chances are you're not going to need to bleed this master valve that's up top on your by your handlebar. But since I did introduce a lot of air to the system, I do have to bleed this. And you only have to bleed it once. You don't have to come do it many times. So right now at this point, I am confident saying that there's no air in the system and the clutch works fine. And when you grab a hold of the clutch lever, you can actually feel the clutch. You can feel it. You can tell. You know how hard it is to pull in a Ducati clutch lever. So when you grab all that clutch and it's hard to pull in, you know you got the air out of it and it's working properly. If it weren't, the clutch lever would just fall to the handlebar. So I topped off the reservoir. I cleaned off the little diaphragm that goes in the top of the reservoir. That diaphragm's meant to expand as the fluid gets low. And now I'm twisting on the cap. So this service is pretty much done at this point. I just need to remove my tools. So pulled my 11mm wrench off. I want to make sure that there's absolutely no .4 residue anywhere. So if you're looking at the little nipple up top there and it looks like it's a little bit wet or damp, you need to clean all that .4 off. The same with the lower bleeder valve. If there's any residue whatsoever of .4, you get it dry. Because if that .4 spreads, it will take off paint, it will discolor the aluminum, and you spent a lot of money for that Ducati, so don't let that happen. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe.